Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevier, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Welcome back to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. This show brought to you by 10K Construction. Minnesota is the land of 10K Construction. Got storm damage from the latest round. Call these guys first before you get your insurance company out there because they can help you through the process. Get somebody on your side before you go to battle with the insurance company because it's a lot tougher these days to get those paydays that you need to keep your home ranch pristine. Joining us, the superstar Mike Morris, presented by Dodge of Burnsville. And speaking of pristine, somebody wants to drive a pristine automobile. Where might you suggest would be a place that I can't really think of anything because most of the places I think are garbage, are dumps.
See, you took the words right out of my mouth. And anytime I open my mouth, garbage falls out. But I would say this. You set your GPS
to
DOB, Dodge of Burnsville. That way you know you're on the right track. B in DOB stands for Burnsville. You'll be in the right city at least. Now, I don't know how many trash dumpsters are going to show up along the way out there. It depends on where you're coming from or how many of these recycling places you'll find, but they are also known as car dealerships. The ones you don't want to go to because they're garbage. They'll sell you garbage. They won't give you anything back in return. They make garbage deals. They make garbage claims. They have garbage service after you buy one from them. So go down where you have the red carpet rolled out every time to a 5-star dealership known as Dodge of Burnsville, right there in Burnsville, right off 35W and Cliff Road. Do that instead because you'll get the good trade value for your automobile, your truck, into a new car or truck or used car or truck. Service is fantastic. After you buy there, you can take it back and you know that they'll take good care of you on that side of it as well. Talk to Adam Saba, Mark Saba, and tell them that the superstar Mike Morris sent you down there. It's Dodge of Burnsville, 35W and Cliff Road in Burnsville.
Wow. That's outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for setting me straight.
Yeah. Don't settle for trash.
No.
And don't go down to a recycling plant known as the other dealerships.
I will not. Thank you.
Don't do it.
Thank you for setting me straight. All right, back to the headline. JJ McCarthy throws out the first pitch and missed by a long shot. Missed Tommy Watkins, the Twins' third base coach, trying to reel in that. Gave a valiant effort, but it went to the backstop.
That's great. Good for him.
All right.
Good for him. And did the coach ever did he come out with a few pointers for him, or
no? He kind of
was that intentional? Or?
He kind of skipped right off the field.
Okay.
And
so he was not to be found after the pitch.
We've not heard
that. Yeah.
Yes, we have not heard yet from him.
Okay.
So we'll just have to speculate, which we like to do. Speculation.
Yeah. Well, let's talk football instead.
All right. So he is, unless something changed after this pitch, presumed to be the eventual number one quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, a franchise-type quarterback. He's got a few weeks now between the start of training camp and the conclusion of minicamp. So he got to know his teammates then. How should he approach this window right now, these 4 weeks that he has before they have to report for training camp? Does he get together with Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, hang out with these guys, try to figure out how they work? What would you suggest the young man do to help himself become the franchise quarterback?
I would say right offhand, first thing I would tell him is make sure they don't see that opening pitch. Make sure of that. Then, second of all, I would definitely try and get with those guys. The big time quarterbacks normally try to get with those guys.
Now, if you were in the Vikings' current locker room, you would never bring that up, right? That would never be something that you would perhaps use as ammunition.
You knew when I played, right? You were in there quite a bit. What do you think I would do? What do you think I would do? He would never forget that. I would make that a selling point from day one, and I'd make him earn his stripes the way they're going to anyway. He's going to have to earn the respect to become a member of this team, period. First team, second team, third team quarterback, whatever it is, he's going to have to come in and earn a spot. I don't care if he's a first-round draft choice. If you come in and stink the joint up, I've seen him not play for a long time. In fact, I mean, and some coaches have that sort of philosophy where it's an Aaron Rodgers on the bench for 3, 4, 5 years behind Brett Favre. I mean, you may not get in for a while. But if you really want to get in and they don't have really anything to go to, which we do in terms of Sam Darnold, so we do. But he has some proving to do as well, so he's going to try and be on his A game. He's going to try and win out a job that he thinks he should have probably had this whole time during his career, short career. And then JJ's got to come in and stay quiet, be a good rookie, soak up as much information as you can, be a sponge for information, and have a good attitude every day, whether it's a good day for you or a bad day, and pick up the next day and just move forward. Always move forward, no matter what. You're going to get those guys this summer. I would hope he would, at least, and get with them. It doesn't have to be an OTA. It needs to be extra time, more time on the field, throwing to those guys, Addison, JJ Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson, and Hawkinson. So, and anyone else that wants to come, anyone else. The running backs, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yeah.
So they do need to do that. They need to find some football space and get a ball and go throw. And the good ones do. Tom Brady always did that. I know that Rodgers was real big on that for a long time. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but Drew Brees always. And so, I mean, if he wants to learn from what really the system is and the formula for success is, he would think about doing that. But otherwise, once you check in, when you report to training camp, you need to just check in like everybody else. Include yourself as just anyone else and fit in. Just blend in and let whatever's going to happen. If you don't come in prepared, you're going to be in for the shock of your life. Really. If you think you've got it made or that you're entitled to something, I mean, guess what? I mean, the magic you're looking for is going to be found in the work you haven't done. So that's what he needs to think about. You got it. You have to get it done. Put it on film for all your teammates to see, all of the coaching staff to see. And are you getting the reads? Are you looking it off and then throwing? You have to have your receivers and that pattern that they're running on the passing route tree in your head. I mean, like silky smooth. And like Bill Belichick used to say, know your job cold. Know your job cold. And that's what he's going to have to do and prove it to the rest of the people when he steps into the huddle, is that he knows how to make the call in the huddle and get up there and check out of it. He has his check downs on his reads with his receivers. He knows where he's going with the second or third receiver, and he's got to show people that constantly during training camp.
Well, the one thing he did say at the end of mini camp, there was a kind of a scrum with the media, and he talked about his plans during this time. And he said he's staying here in Minnesota. Not going anywhere. He's going to try to be in TCO as much as possible to get himself ready for training camp. So right there, I think that shows that, okay, he's got something going on in his head, and he understands that, you know what, I can't just walk in here and do this job. I need to be prepared as I can and take advantage of this facility, the coaches that will some be around, teammates, and start watching film, figuring out what these guys want. Now, would you watch film with the wide receivers and watch Jefferson catches with him and have him tell you where he wanted the ball or what he saw? Because he and Kirk, they didn't hang out in Bible study together, right? But Jefferson loved Kirk Cousins because he got him the ball where he wanted it, when he wanted it, in unison in the route. So how do they build that relationship?
Well, Johnny Michaels, the great offensive line coach that you've known for years around here, I think he was a 29-year offensive line coach for the Vikings under Bud Grant, and then Jerry Burns. I had him. Ron Yeri had him. I mean, Grady Alderman had him, and Mick Tinglehoff had him from day one, I think. But Johnny would say you learn in hundreds. You learn in hundreds of reps. But what you're asking is even more so that rhythm and that timing of coming out of the break and knowing that the ball is already going to be there. You can turn and count on that ball being there. You can also count on the quarterback can look at the defense and know that someone like JJ is going to get out to the D-back or wherever, or the safety, and break in, then back out. He knows he's going to, because they sight adjust, and they've seen it up on film to show what he's looking at. And Justin can say, I'm going to step, I'm going to jab inside and try and break him off for 2 false steps, and then back out, have the ball up then.
Okay.
That's exactly how they communicate, how they talk on that route and on a certain play. It'll be there. Give me time to get to the 15-yard line, whatever. I'm going to stab him inside and come back out and break it off and let the ball fly if you're not on your back. You know, if the time is there, right? Throw it. So that's how they communicate, and that's when you get ahead and you throw that kind of thing over and over and over again for these last few weeks going in, and it's not new to you when you do get to training camp where you have to learn it first. You know, I mean, first day stuff. No, you want to have that in the bank already. And that's how the good ones prepare. And they have communication with the receivers. Obviously, they have communication with the quarterback's coach. But if you want to get extra work in, you got to find those guys you're going to throw to and talk like that. And Addison's a second-year guy. Justin certainly is the guy. And Hawkinson is a great football player for a tight end. That's a large body. So you want the physical mismatch and the drop shot you can throw to a tall guy like Hawkinson. He'll go up and grab it.
All right. How about Sam Darnold? How does McCarthy approach him? Because McCarthy knows he was taken top 10 pick, highest Vikings quarterback in franchise history selected. How does he approach Sam Darnold? How do those two work through this? Because obviously Darnold thinks, well, heck, I was picked 3rd overall. I was picked way higher than you. I just went to some bad teams, had some bad situations. It never worked out for me. But I'm looking at this as like, are you kidding? I have Jefferson, I have Addison, I have Hawkinson, I have Aaron Jones. I got an offensive line that's been together for a couple of seasons. This is my time. So how do those two work this out? If you're McCarthy and you know that the future is yours, how do you walk into those rooms and work with him?
You have to look at it as competition. You know, you always want to try to find someone at each position, each training camp, to compete for positions for that cream to rise to the top. It pushes everyone's game to another level that they would otherwise, if they knew they had it in the bank already and they were just going to start, they were going to play, there's no question about it. I mean, they would always try to bring in enough players that would be challenging someone at each spot on the field, everybody. So you wouldn't have a freebie. It just wasn't a free training camp to come in and go to sleep and then start on Sundays. It wasn't that way. So these guys are going to try to beat each other out at quarterback, and it'll be done in a I would hope so anyway, in a team-like fashion where you're sitting in the same room and you're discussing and talking with each other and trying to help each other out with whatever may be going on. But each guy knows going into it that they have a legitimate shot to start at quarterback and for the entire season, not just for a while until the kid gets it, but put numbers up and win if you're Darnold, and he may get the nod. If he does, he's got to win. He better win if he wants to make that impression that you were talking about. He is not sure of himself yet. He was in a bad situation with I wouldn't say bad coaching, but it probably wasn't his style, or I think he would have been better than he was. So he's going to have to come in, shake that off, understand that maybe a change in location would give him a better advantage to change and just start again. And with a new mentality, a new mindset, that he might be able to do the things that he should have been doing when he came out of college as the number 3 overall pick.
Right.
And then he's going to have to go up against now what the Vikings organization feels like was worth taking in the first round at that position of quarterback. Having already landed him as a veteran free agent and then doing that says to Darnold, you better show us because we just did this. And if you don't do it, we can tell you right here and right now that he's got it. It's his. They're telling him that.
How do they avoid splitting the team, right? Because you've seen that before where quarterback A is in, but everybody loves the other guy. And, how do you keep the team from breaking into factions? Or does that not even happen? Because we saw it last year where the Vikings went through, 4 different quarterbacks. And it seemed like by Sunday, everybody was like, okay, we're behind this guy. We're behind Mullins. Nick's our guy. Dobbs, you're over here this week. That's fine. We love you, Jobs, but you're over there. So is that basically by Sundays, people have gotten that out of the way?
They have. I really believe that was a different situation, I thought, anyway, except for Dobbs. I thought that was a little bit different. They just finally removed him and tried to replace him then. But injuries were a lot of what happened before, obviously, with Kirk and with
right. But
Hall.
I'm just saying,
but
for a team that doesn't deal with injuries, if it was a flat out competition.
Yeah, so it works itself out. It's definitely going to be the guy who is going to make the receivers feel the most comfortable out there. I mean, they're going to have direct feedback on what they think is happening at the quarterback spot based on where he's putting the football for him, or if he's throwing on time, or if he's throwing to the wrong person completely, or if he's looking too long and not getting it to anybody. The coaches are going to see that. The receivers are going to have their feedback. They're veteran enough that those coaches are going to trust what they're saying to him. And no matter what, the rest of the team has to follow suit on that. If the receivers feel the best, and I've seen a lot of that before in the past, and it never really is that off. It's not off base. We had everybody in here when I played. We had Jim McMahon, we had Warren Moon, we had Randall Cunningham, we had Brad Johnson. I was here with Wade Wilson and Rich Gannon. We went through everybody, and it never that I could remember was an offbeat moment for the players to agree with coaching staff and management as to who was going to have to play, who was going to have to start. It always made sense to me. And I don't ever think I was ever in a position where it was like, why are we playing him at quarterback? I never was.
Really?
I mean that. Yeah. All the way through. And I played 9 years here, but we went through a slew of quarterbacks during that time. And even when Randall Cunningham had to sit out after the first half, after the first half of the Detroit Lion game, and we put Jeff George in, we all knew that it was probably the best move. And George went off and reeled off, I think, like 8 out of the next 11, and he was good. He was great. But I never really felt. So I think it'll work itself out. I think it plays itself back into what the team's best interests are.
All right. Now you said every training camp, they bring in competition for everybody. Did the Vikings do that to you? Was there a slew of long snappers you pull into Mankato?
Sure.
Get out of the car.
Absolutely.
Strutting in with your bag over your shoulder, air conditioner under one arm.
Yeah.
Giant tube TV back then under the other arm.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling in with your army men.
Yeah, the whole battalion would move in.
Right.
Yeah.
All the little toy army men.
Oh, I had like hundreds of them. Tony Dungy loved it. He loved it every night that he came in and did curfew. He said, "What do we have going on here?" I said, "Well, I've got a couple of them over in the air conditioner there. It's a Cold War." And Tony got a kick out of that. He goes, I don't want to, I just need to leave. He just gave up on me. But I'll tell you what, they did. It was the Corey Withrows. It was all those guys that kind of came through as another center option or another guard option. It was the Jay Humphreys from Texas.
Yep.
And they always had someone that they wanted to try and, they always tried to get someone in there that would compete with me. But I would always help those kids as much as I could. And, they would say, "Why are you helping me? I mean, what are you doing? Why are you trying to help me out with this?" They literally, and I said, "Because I want you to be able to go to another team and pick up with another team when you're gone from here."
Because you know you're not staying here.
Yeah. And that was the psychology I played. I loved it because it just made him like, what did he just say? I'm like, well, if you're trying to ask me to be honest, why are you helping me?
Right.
Because I want to see you do as well as you can so that when you get on film, if you get a few reps, other teams will see you and you can have a chance to play.
Right, because you're
With another team,
not playing here.
Because
you have no shot here.
Yeah, I can tell you you're not going to be here. I'm already sizing a body bag for you and a toe tag. I'm going to put a little letter in your pocket, in your little breast pocket there for your mother to see, and I'm going to tell her that you were a good boy.
Yes.
And enjoy playing somewhere else. But I would help. I would really help him. I swear to God. I mean, I only had to tell like one or two guys why I was doing it, but I would always try and help him out. I didn't feel threatened, but I at the same time would try to help him out. I really did, and it just made me better anyway. I mean, if we got them a little bit better, then I would just pick it up a little bit more and try and be a little more precise on laces coming out and being toward the goal post every time. You put them down, the laces should be out. Shouldn't have to spin the ball, and that dialed me in too. So it was good. It was always good. The cream does rise to the top, and the best guys normally will play. Politics really don't come into play. Money, we've seen it before in the past where someone who has fronted tons and tons and tons of money. Who was it? Seattle that had like $20 million into it was the backup quarterback from Green Bay that went to the Seattle Seahawks.
That's right.
And he didn't get there because Russell Wilson came in from Wisconsin, third round, and they gave it to him. That was $20 million.
Pete Carroll, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pete Carroll was the guy who decided, you know what, I don't care about the money. I got to go with this guy.
You're going to win, right? And almost 2 Super Bowls out of that guy, almost. But so anyway, I think that's how it should be.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Well, there you have it.
That's very nice. I mean, not only were you a superstar on the field, you were off the field as well.
I was
to be kind to those guys.
Yeah, I was. I was trying, and even on the field, I was trying to tell them where to put their hands on the ball. And what to do and how to extend, and you're doing this and you're hitching, and now you're going to show everyone on both sides of the line when you're going to bring it. You can't tell them when you're going to snap it, or they're going to block one.
Right.
So I'd correct all that and clean them up, and then they were great snappers somewhere else.
Love it. Love it. It's the superstar, Mike Morris, presented by Dodge of Burnsville. This is the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. We will take a break. Still to come in this show, Royce Lewis, the Twins' third baseman. I chatted with him about his dynamic start to the season where he set a franchise record. Star, he has hit more home runs in his first 12 games, that was the window that we were working with, then he has 7 in the first 12 games of a season to start. That's never happened in Washington Senators history, Twins history. So that's Killebrew, Puckett, Herbeck, Morneau. Nobody.
How about Dave
Winfield?
Winfield.
No, not when
Paul
he was here.
Molitor?
Nope. No shot.
Really?
So we talked to the youngster about how he is ripping it up, and we'll talk more football as well as we continue here on the JimBob Sports Jamboree, presented by 10K Construction. Minnesota is the land of 10K Construction.
I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners, KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji, and Bob Total Country serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.